Okay, Be'ezat Hashem, Naaseh v'Natzliach. I want to welcome you to another session of our Parashat Shavua learning here at Sha'arei Ezra. Baruch Hashem, we're on our 7th cycle. This week's Parashat is Parashat Vayera, a very special class called Esh Shel Avraham. Also, I'd like to dedicate this class to the Ilui Nishmat of David ben Zohara, Yaniv ben Rina, Shalom Dov Ber Ben Binyamin Eliyahu, Zelda Bat
Miriam Rasha,
and also this should be to the Refuah Shelema of
Zelda Bat Miriam.
Oh, that was Refuah Shelema. So that was Refuah Shelema, and also the Be'ezat Hashem that this will be to the Bracha v'Atzlacha to all the people that are in attendance with us. Hashem varech otchem, sameach otchem. Be'ezat Hashem, each one will get their yeshua that they need and enjoy the beautiful Divrei Torah that we're about to hear. Avraham Avinu is famously known for several things. He's famous for Chesed, he's famous for Kiruv, he's famous for Mesirut Nefesh. Chesed, we know that he had a tremendous capacity for Achnasat Orchim. He was able to host people on a level that until today we're amazed by it. He's also the one that instituted Esh Shel Avraham. What's Esh Shel? The word Esh Shel is Aleph Shin Lamed, Achila, Shtiya, and Livui. Some say Achila, Shtiya, Velina, which is like the inn that Avraham Avinu instituted, where you can eat, drink, and sleep. But we know that halachically, when you have a guest over, you have to follow Esh Shel, which when a person is Achila, V'Shtiya, eats and drinks by you, when does it count that you've hosted him? When you do Livui. When you take him outside of your door for 4 amot, do it. There's actually a community in Houston, Texas, where a guy took it upon himself to go to every Jewish home and mark 4 amot from the door to show every homeowner this is where you need to go to in order to perform the mitzvah. Very unique, very interesting. So we see Abraham's chesed, achnasat orchim. Also, the kiruv. Avraham Avinu was the first one to do kiruv, to bring people closer to Hashem, to introduce them to God. As it says, it's a nefesh asher asa b'charan. What's the nefesh asa b'charan? All the people that he converted over there. And Avraham Avinu is also famously known for mesirut nefesh. Right? He had self-sacrifice. He had a life filled with trials and tribulations, 10 nisyonot, that started in Parashat Lech Lecha, as Parashat Lech Lecha begins with Lech Lecha me'artzecha u'mimuladetecha u'bet avicha el ha'aretz asher are'eka, and comes to, which was his first trial, leaving his homeland, leaving his family, leaving his country, all the way to the end of this week's Parashat Vayera, which is on the 7th Aliyah. We get the 10th trial of Avraham Avinu. Vayomer kach na et bincha et yechidecha asher ahavta et Yitzchak velech lecha el eretz hamoria ve'aleh sham le'olah. You see that over there, that the 10th trial was Avraham Avinu's putting his son as korban on the mizbeach. Now, even though that this is, we learn all this at first grade, there's something very unique that throughout the years has popped up at me. I've been collecting information for several years, and finally I have enough content for a class. Be'ezat Hashem, we have a little bit of an insight, a little bit of a different insight about Avraham Avinu. What's noticeable, or maybe unnoticeable about Avraham Avinu, is that he has a very special relationship with fire. I'll give you a quick rundown. It says in the Tefillah, Ata hu Adonai Elohim asher bachata ba'Avraham ve'otzoto me'or kasdim ve'samta shemo Avraham. We see that when Avraham Avinu had the name change between Avram to Avraham, when he had this spiritual upgrade, happened where? When did Avraham Avinu jump up a level in his spiritual journey? After he came out from Ur Kasdim. After he came out from the Kifshan, from the burning fire, from the burning furnace. I'll give you another example. In Brit Ben Abetarim, in Parashat Lech Lecha, Pasuk Perek Tetva, Pasuk Yud Zayin, when Hashem makes the covenant with Avraham Avinu, it's very interesting because anything could be there at that time. Anything, literally anything could be there at that time, at the time of Avraham Avinu making a covenant. But yet, in Tetvav, Pasuk Yud Zayin, it says, when he was making the Brit Ben HaBetarim, Vayera Shemesh Ba'a Ve'alata Haya Ve'ine Tanur Ashan Ve'lapid Esh Asher Avar Ben HaGezarim Ha'ele. It says that there was the sun set. So right away we know that the sun is something that's extremely hot. Okay, so there's the sun. Then there was a smoky furnace. Once again, there's fire. And then the torch of fire, Lapid Esh. Why sun? Why a torch? Why Lapid Esh? Why a burning furnace? Everything that has to do with Avraham, start to pay attention, is connected to fire. In Parashat Vayera, Perek Yudchet, Pasuk Aleph, which is this week's parasha, also very interesting. It says, Vayar elav Hashem be'elonim mamre v'hu yoshev petach ha'oel kechom hayom. There's the heat again. Avraham Avinu is after the Brit Milah. He's sitting outside of the Ohel. And what is the Pasuk letting us know? The weather. Who cares about the weather? Why do we care if it's a hot day or a cool day? Right? V'hu yoshev petach ha'oel kechom hayom. Once again, heat. Connected to everything that has to do with Avraham Avinu. Rashi says, as a matter of fact, if you want to know the level of the heat, of the fire that Avraham Avinu can withstand, Rashi says, "Hotzi HaKadosh Baruch Hu chama min artika shelo le'atricho be'orchim." There's a concept that the sun has some sort of a layer, almost like a screen, that protects us from its extreme heat. It's chama min artika. On that day, Hashem says he's sick, he's not feeling well. It's his third day after Brit Milah. That's when the person is the weakest. Let him not be busy with achnasat orchim. What I'll do is I'll take the chama min artika, I'll take the sun out of its protective case and make it extreme heat, so no human being will come by and bother him. Let him rest. In Chaye Sarah, in a few more perakim, in Perek Chav Gimel, Pasuk Tet, talks about when Avraham Avinu was purchasing Ma'arat HaMachpelah. ויתן לי את מערת המכפלה שלו אשר בקצה שדהו בכסף מלא יתנה לי בתוכם לאחוזת כעבר. Right? So it's very interesting that מערת המכפלה, it talks about Avraham Avinu when the three angels came to visit him. וירוץ אחר הבקר, one of his animals ran away and he kept chasing the animal. Eventually he led him to מערת המכפלה. He sees מערת המכפלה, he sees a huge light coming out. And they said that huge light coming out was the heel of Adam HaRishon that was as strong as the sun. And it says that there was a candle that was lit between Chava and Adam. And the heat from that candle was so strong that nobody could enter in. It was almost like a burglar alarm, almost like a security system that nobody could come in. Yet Avraham Avinu went inside like it was nothing. You saw Avraham, you saw Adam, you saw Chava, he understood that this is Ma'arat HaMachpelah, and he later on purchased it. Ironic, he brought it from Ephron. Ephron is also very similar to the word Efer, but I didn't draw from there. In Parashat Vayera, in Perek Yudchet, Avraham Avinu makes a declaration about himself. Almost like a slogan. In Perek Yudchet, Pasuk Chav Zayin. Welcome, Yosef. The class is about a special relationship that Avraham Avinu has with fire. And it says Pasuk Chav Zayin. Vayan Avram vayomar, hinenu alti ledaber el Adonai vanochi afar va'efer. Avraham Avinu says, I am dust and ashes. Why dust and why ashes? Ashes, it's something that's after it got consumed, it becomes ashes. Once again, a connection with fire. And not only that, why would he take upon himself this famous slogan of Anochi Afar Va'efer? Out of all the things he could say about himself.
It's humility.
Yes?
It's humility.
Okay.
He's,
But we're gonna connect it to something else. So let's start. First of all, we spoke about Abraham's first interaction with fire. And the first interaction with fire, I didn't bring that book with me. Oh, okay. It's about Ur Kasdim. Beautiful, beautiful midrash. Beautiful midrash that talks about the interaction of the famous story of Abraham Avinu. It's actually brought three different ways. One of the ways that was brought about Abraham Avinu and the breaking of the idols and him being taken to Nimrod and being thrown into the furnace is as such. Abraham Avinu, at 3 years old, was born as a baby, and the stargazers go to Nimrod and they say, we see in the stars that the house of Terach has a baby that is going to dethrone you. He right away goes to Terach and he tells them, give me your baby and I will fill up your house with gold and coins. He says, so you want to kill my baby? So who's going to inherit these gold and these coins? So he refused the offer. When they went back to Terach to tell him about it, Terach's, Abraham's father, hid Abraham Avinu in a me'ara, in a cave. They say at the age of 3, and some say at the age of 13, either or, he came out, but we know that it's closer to the age of 3, because a lot of other midrashim say that that's the day, at the age of 3, he knew God, because it says, Ekev asher shamata bekoli. HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells Abraham, why is he doing such good things for him and giving him the merit to land and to be the father of all nations, and to be rich, and to be a beracha, all the long list of things that were promised him in last week's parasha. Later on it says, because you listen to my ways, you listen to my voice. So how many years did Abraham live?
175.
175. What is the gematria of the word Ekev? 172. Ekev asher shamata bekoli. For 172 years you listened to my ways. That means that the first 3 years he didn't know God. So that's what we know. It's the
Interesting. Wow, that's cool.
So that's what we know is the age of 3. So at the age of 3 he comes out and he sees the moon, he sees the sun, he sees the stars, he sees all these celestial bodies, and he says, maybe you're God. So he bows down to it, but he says he disappears. Then the moon pops up. Maybe you're God. And then it disappears, and it pops up. And more and more and more and more and more, he's testing out the world and its powers, and he sees that none of them are the creators of the universe. Nimrod finds out that he is around and bad-mouthing idolatry. And of course, during that time, idolatry was actually the image of Nimrod. He self-proclaimed himself as the creator of the world, creator of the heavens, and he made the Avodah Zarah was also images of him. So Abraham Avinu, working at his father's Avodah Zarah factory, right, the Getchka factory, was watching the store one day, and the famous story was told now in a different way, which he asked his mother, if this is the Melech, the creator of the world, give me the best food for him. He comes back several hours later and the food is still there. He goes back to his mother, he tells her, give me better food. This idol doesn't eat this type of food. I need much better delicacies. And Amtaya makes better delicacies and offers it to the Getchka. Comes out and he says nothing happened. What does he do? He takes a torch, and he starts to break all the idols, and he puts them on fire, and he puts it in the hand of the biggest one, which was the image of Nimrod, the biggest idol. His father comes back and he says, "Who did all this?" He said, "The big one." He says, "They don't do anything. They can't move. They can't talk. They can't see." And Abraham tells his father, "And this is your God?" So because he burnt the idols, Nimrod comes and gets him. And they have a whole conversation of back and forth, disproving him as a god and a creator of the universe. You created the universe. Make the sun set from the opposite direction today. Make the moon stay in its place. Since he wasn't able to do, with frustration, he tells them, "My God that I bow down to is the God of fire, and let's see if your God will save you from my God." And he throws him into the furnace. Again, fire. The angel of fire comes down to save Avraham. Who is it? The Malach Gabriel. And he comes to save him. And Hashem says to Malach Gabriel, no. It'll be my honor and my pleasure to go save Avraham Avinu. Avraham Avinu stays in the furnace for 3 full days and does not get burnt. That is the story of Ur Kasdim. And once again, we see over there the running theme of fire. Ur Daniel, Midrash Ur Daniel says something incredible. Why is it called Ur Kasdim? Kasdim is a place. Ur means like a fire, right? But you could have said something else. Could have used a different word. Could have called Srefat Kasdim, right? Esh Kasdim, the fire of Kasdim. It could have been called the ashes of Kasdim, something else. Why specifically Ur Kasdim? Lama lo Esh? He says the reason why it's called Ur Kasdim, and the letter Ur is spelled Aleph Vav Resh, which is similar to the word Or. Shama etchil Hashem la'ir lo taderech l'chaim. Because at the beginning over there of Ur Kasdim, Hashem starts to begin to illuminate the path for Avraham Avinu. He gave him the hay. He started to give him that spiritual upgrade. So it says over there, Lo Srefat Kasdim, Ela He'ara. There was an illumination into his life. That's why it's called Ur Kasdim. In Brit Ben Abetarim, he said, out of all the things that Hashem could have used as witnesses, as accessories to this covenant, it says over there, Shemesh, Tanur Ashan, Lapid Esh. Could have been anything else. Again, running theme of fire with Avraham Avinu. So we know that in this week's Parashat Vayera, as he's sitting outside of the Ohel, it says that Avraham yashav petach haOhel, and the Mefarshim asks, Lama lo betoch haOhel? You're sick, go. Why are you sitting outside? We learn from here, Shechama yesh barefuah. The sun has healing powers. Why? He was after the Brit Milah, and by him sitting outside, letting the sun shine on him, it was a form of healing. The Chama, the sun, has healing powers. Keep that in the back of your mind. Later on, we're going to have another piece of information that's going to be very interesting about this little fact. We said that Rashi said, Shotzi Chama min artika, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu took out the fire from its holster. It took away this little screen, this little filter that was holding it back from doing this extreme heat. As a matter of fact, this Lotzi Chama min artika, it's even brought.
Excuse me. You gotta find one place, not here.
It says that in the end of days, it says that when there's going to be a time when Kadosh Baruch Hu Yotzi Chama min artika, same thing that happened to Avraham Avinu, and what's going to happen? Tzaddikim yitrapu mimena, the righteous will heal from it, and the wicked will burn from it. It's going to be like one of the processes of Gehenom, is that the fire is going to heal the righteous and burn the wicked. So that same fire is the fire that we're dealing with in this week's parasha. So we understand that this is extreme heat. It's not humanly bearable. And only angels that are made from fire can actually withstand this type of heat. And that's why when HaKadosh Baruch Hu saw that Avraham Avinu is not giving up and he's sitting outside waiting for a guest, who did he send? 3 angels. Why? Because only they can withstand that type of heat. Because the angels are made of fire themselves. Esh David says something over here also incredible, something very nice. He says that over here we have to notice something else. that the ratzon of Avraham lekayem mitzvah achnasat orchim, his desire to perform the mitzvah of achnasat orchim, his ratzon was esh. His desire was a fiery desire. Nothing could stop him from what? From performing the mitzvah of achnasat orchim. Why? Another opportunity to introduce another individual, to another person to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to the Creator of the world. He lived for it. Nothing could stop him. Not even a burning 180 degrees. Who knows what the temperature is of Hamam Artika. So we see that a person that has ratzon esh, somebody who has a desire, that is the fire of a desire for something, mevatel chumriot shel esh, he's even nullify the reality of burning fire around him. And
There's a will, there's a way.
there's a will, there's a way. He was like a malach that lo nogeh bo esh. He was almost like an angel that fire has no effect on him. Just like in Ur Kasdim, it had no effect on him. Again, a running theme with heat and fire with Avraham Avinu. We said also Ma'arat HaMachpelah. We saw that the Ner was also emitted extreme heat, and it didn't bother Avraham Avinu at all. And we come back to trying to understand this tagline, this slogan, Anochi Afar Va'efer. Why would that be his defining character? Rashi reveals to us. Rashi says, Afar, by the way, is earth, sand, dust. Efer is ashes, something that burnt and turned into ash. So Avraham Avinu says, Anochi Afar Va'efer. So Rashi explains to us, Afar, dust, Al Pi HaMalachim. This is because of the kings that he fought. Remember, we had the 4 kings and the 5 kings. They could have killed him, and they could have turned him back into dust. Because imagine, the Psukim tell us, Avraham Avinu went to fight the 4 and 5 kings with who? 318 men. Can you imagine how many? 5 kingdoms, 4 kingdoms. How many people are there? Thousands? To go with 318 makes no sense. Rashi reveals to us it's not 318, it's Gematria Eliezer. Eliezer, only one person. Right? And there's another midrash that says Eliezer who Og. So imagine just Avraham Avinu and Og. Nevertheless, he should have been dead. So he knows the harsh reality that I should have been dead. I should have been Afar. That explains that. Efer, why should he be ashes? Al Pi Nimrod. Nimrod put him into the Kivshan, he put him into the furnace. What happens when you throw a human being into a fire for 3 days? He should turn into ashes. So Avraham Avinu says, Anochi Afar Va'efer. I should have been dust. I should have been ashes. And it's funny because Efer is connected to fire as well. Pirkei Rabbi Eliezer says that the first person to ever be saved by fire was Avraham Avinu. Again, the running theme of fire and Avraham. There's many more examples. These are just the ones that I've found throughout the years. I want to take it now. This was like a bit of an introduction so you can see the connection of Avraham and fire. Now I want to take you to 2 different places and then ask a good kasha and then get to the answer. Midrash Bereshit Rabbah brings a conversation with Hashem and Avraham. Hashem asks Avraham, "Le'esh gehenom or lecharev et bet hamikdash?" HaKadosh Baruch Hu asks Avraham Avinu, "When your children sin, what should I do? Should I send them to the fiery pits of Gehenom, or should I destroy Bet HaMikdash?" This is very interesting. Very, very interesting. Another connection to fire. There's many more examples. Before Midrash Rabbah, maybe I'll bring the Gemara. In Masechet Baba Batra, on Daf Tet Zayin, the 16th page, on the second side, there's an interesting Gemara. It talks about Avraham Avinu, how he was blessed bakol, with everything. And it goes back and forth about what bakol means. And then it brings this. Just going to skip to like mid-conversation. But if you want a nice, juicy page of Gemara, Baba Bata Tetzain. Beautiful page. It's like, you know those pages that just go on and on and on, and then there's like 2 or 3 that are just delicious? This is one of them. It's all delicious, but this is extra. It says, Rabbi Elazar Hamodai Omer.
Not as good as his child.
No, right. Listen to this interesting Gemara that talks about Avraham Avinu. Itstagninut hayta belibo shel Avraham Avinu. Avraham was very well versed in astrology. Shekol malchei mizrach u'ma'arav mashkimin lefitcho. All the kings of the east and the west would arrive to his door to seek advice. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai Omer, Even tova hayta tluya betzavaro shel Avraham Avinu. Avraham had a precious stone hung around his neck. Shekol chole haro'eh oto miyad mitlapeh. Anybody who would see this special stone would immediately heal. ובשעה שנפטר אברהם אבינו מן העולם, and when Avraham Avinu passed away from this world, תלאה הקדוש ברוך הוא בגלגל החמה. Hashem took this special stone and he put it into the sun. Once again, there's that fire, there's that sun. So,
What kind of stone was it?
Huh?
What kind of stone it was?
so,
Looked like a cola stone.
so let's see. Let's see if we get there.
Okay.
So, when I read this Gemara, I have several questions. First question is, what is this necklace around that neck? What is this necklace around the neck that heals? What is that? Okay, there's a healing necklace around Avraham Avinu's neck. Why, out of all things, Hashem had to take this necklace and put it into the sun? It's another question. The third question is a little bit of a stronger question. We also know that sickness. We also know that sickness didn't come to the world till Yaakov. Meaning Avraham is the grandfather of Yaakov. Yaakov is who brought sickness to the world. So who is Avraham healing? I'll read you a Midrash Rabbah. Midrash Rabbah. Psika He, Psika Tet. Okay. We've said this many times before, but this time I want to read it from the inside. It's really, really interesting. Here we go. It talks about Avraham Avinu's conversation. Where am I? Sikatet. Yeah. Thank you, Hashem. Amar Rabbi Yehuda bar Simon. Avraham tava zikna. Avraham is the first one to institute aging. Amar lefanav. Ribon ha'olamim. אדם ובנו נכנסים למקום ואין אדם יודע למי מכבד. He says a father and a son walk into the room and they look identical. And by the way, why would Yitzchak look identical to Avraham? Because remember, they made fun of Avraham, that maybe Yitzchak is the son of Avimelech when Sarah was with him. So Hashem made it that Yitzchak looks identical to Avraham. So here we go. We have Avraham and Yitzchak. They look identical. They walk into a room. Who do you get up for? Which one is Avraham? So Avraham tells HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
So that's who we have to blame.
אין אדם יודע למי מכבד. מתוך שאתה מעטו בזקנה, אדם יודע למי מכבד. He says, if you bring aging to the world and you see somebody who's older, it'll be a sign to give honor to the older person. אמר לו הקדוש ברוך הוא, חייך, דבר טוב טבעת. It's a good thing that you just said. וממך הוא מתחיל. You're going to be the first one. The first person to age in history, אברהם אבינו. That's why the pasuk says, ואברהם זקן בא בימים. We said that in Rosh Chodesh also, right? ואברהם זקן בא בימים. For all those people that live here in South Beach, what's ואברהם זקן? Abraham got old, and where does he go? Layamim, he goes to the beach. You see that you come to South Beach when you get older. Yitzchak tava yisurim. Yitzchak says, let afflictions come into the world. Afflictions came into the world in the merit, not in the merit. Yitzchak brought afflictions to the world. How? אמר לפניו, ריבון כל העולמים, אדם מת ולא ייסורים, מידת הדין מתוחה כנגדו. He says, there's a reality that a person dies, he goes up to the Shamayim, and he has a full bill. He owes God so many different things. He says, why don't we have a new system where a person suffers in this world, you clean up the debt for him over here while he's in human form and in this olam hazeh. Like that, when he gets to olam haba, what do you get him? Maximum olam haba. He says, instead of going up with a debt, let's clear up the debt below. So like that, when he goes to the shamayim, to olam haba, he gets maximum olam haba. Makes sense? אמר לו הקדוש ברוך הוא, חייך דבר טוב טבעת, וממך אני מתחיל. He says, you made a good point. I'm going to start instituting afflictions in this world, and I'm starting with you. And nowhere in the Sefer does it say anywhere until it says, "V'cheva shama Yitzchak natan lo yisurim." What was the afflictions that Yitzchak got? V'iki zaken Yitzchak v'techena enav. Remember what happened to Yitzchak at the end of his years? He became blind, right? That's a yisur. That's an affliction. Comes Yaakov, tavai tacholi. Yaakov came and said, we should have sickness in this world. אמר לפניו, ריבון העולמים, אדם מת בלא חולי, ואינו מיישב בין בניו. He says, a person dies instantly, and he doesn't have an opportunity to set his household straight. He has to tell his, who's taking over, who's leading the family, what to do with the inheritance. אינו מיישב בין בניו. מטוב שהוא חולה, 2 או 3 ימים, הוא מיישב בין בניו. If you give him at least 2 or 3 days before he passes away, he could set his house in order. אמר לו הקדוש ברוך הוא, חייך, דבר טוב טבעת, וממך הוא מתחיל. He says, you said a good thing, and with you it's going to start. Sickness is going to start with Yaakov Avinu. As it says in Bereshit, בפרק מ"ח פסוק א', ויאמר ליוסף, הנה אביך חולה. Here your father is sick. Now that we learned this beautiful, beautiful midrash, I ask you a question.
Aging and afflictions.
If Avraham Avinu brought aging, Yitzchak afflictions, and Yaakov Choli, who did Avraham heal when he was alive? There was no sickness. Good question.
And when you saw it after the birth.
Now we will begin to begin to understand Avraham and his special relationship with fire. Avraham had the fire, but what type of fire? The fire that warms, not the fire that burns. Because you see, everything that had to do with fire never burnt Avraham. And he was similar to that. He didn't have the fire that burns, but the fire that warms. I'd like to give a small example over here. What's a fire that burns? Sometimes it's a Baal Teshuvah. You ever see a Baal Teshuvah when he discovers God in the Torah, and he's so impressed by it, and he's so gung-ho about becoming a religious Jew? He goes home, and he's a tyrant. Put on a kippah. Hey, shakoni bidvaro. Hey, cover your head. Hey, your skirt's too short. And all of a sudden, it was a peaceful home when they were secular. Now the guy became religious, and it's a war zone. He's telling everybody off what fine, you have the fire for Torah, Esh Shel Torah, but you're burning relationships. You're burning bridges. That's a fire that burns. A fire that warms is a guy that learns Torah and brings it home, and he brings people closer. He introduces them. It's the fire that warms. This is Avraham Avinu. Furthermore, after Ur Kasdim, after he was thrown into the furnace and he got to the realization, Shanochi, Afar Va'efer, there should be dust and ashes, this was his stepping stone. This was a springboard to the rest of his life, to the rest of his journey. Because why? Like you said, he was humble. He got humbled. I'm not supposed to be alive. He says, I should have been killed by all the kings. I should have been an ash from the furnace and the fire that I've been facing. And we see that Avraham Avinu also, from this realization, he got a spiritual upgrade. He got the letter Hey. He got the letter Hey from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It went from Avraham to Avraham. As it says in our prayer that we say every day, Ata hu ha'elokim asher bacharta ba'Avram ve'otzeto me'ur kasdim ve'samta shemo Avraham. It was a life-changing experience what he went through in the fire. We know that the Torah, by the way, in Aramaic is called, what is the Torah called in Aramaic? Oraita. Yeah. Or is light. Oraita is Torah. Torah is a book that illuminates. And
Fire also illuminates.
there you go.
Even
This-
before you had electricity,
The fire.
what would you have?
He
Fire.
got connected to what? To the Torah, which is what?
Yeah.
It's a book that illuminates a person's soul and illuminates the person's life and illuminates the world. So all this supercharged his purpose in life to spread the belief of one God in the world. And as a matter of fact, the Midrashim say that when he used to bring people into his ohel and convert them, feed them, and talk to them about monotheism, the belief of one God, of one Creator, he would make them say, before paying, he'd say this tagline and believe it. Hashem hu ha'elokim b'shamayim ima'al v'al ha'aretz mitachat. Once they understood that and believed it and proclaimed it, they became part of the team. Now, his internal fire, his internal desire to introduce the world to Hashem, transcended human limitations. If you look at Avraham Avinu, he's a superhero. All the stories that include Avraham Avinu are supernatural. He would do anything and everything to get one more person to know God. So the question is, were there physically sick people during the time of Avraham Avinu?
If they're spiritually sick.
There it is. They weren't physically sick. They were spiritually sick. Avraham Avinu was the first one to introduce monotheism. That means everybody else is what? An idol worshiper. They're all spiritually sick. So when it says that Avraham healed them, how did he heal them? He had a precious stone around his neck. Chazal tell us, you know what that was a stone? His voice. That was the precious stone that was around his neck. Why was it a precious stone?
Wow.
Because it was his voice
Wow.
that spoke pearls of wisdom. When he was able to do what? Heal people with what? Here's a stone, you're healed, you're spiritual now? No.
Voice.
Let me tell you about the creation of the world. Let me tell you about Hashem. Let me tell you about the beauty of the Torah. Let me tell you about chesed. Let me tell you about mitzvot. Let me tell you about what Hashem wants from you from an individual. His voice was that precious stone that was around his neck.
So he put it in the sun. Okay.
Now he opened up people's minds and eyes to the truth. He healed them with fire that warms, right? Spiritual healing for a spiritually corrupt generation. As the Gemara says, Even Tova. What's Even Tova? Take the word Even and the word Tova. Even is Av Ben. We know that there's a tradition that the father tells the son. Even, Av Ben. What's Tova? Take the word Tova. Tov Hashem. Av tells the Ben. Tov Hashem. Even Tova is Av telling the Ben, Tov Hashem. And that's what he did.
Never heard that. That's so good.
Now, till today, we emulate Avraham with our family, with this thing of a fire that warms, right? when it comes to family, the approach to the wife, the approach to the children has to be what? Warm, loving, chesed, caring. Introduce the loving side of Torah, not the scorched earth of Torah. That people sometimes take it and twist it the wrong way. They love God, they love the Torah. It has to be exactly like this. Yeah, but along the way, a lot of people become collateral damage. You have to take the approach of Avraham, the loving approach, the voice, the explanation, the warming, the one that brings people closer.
I see this.
True. Same thing in the workplace, in community, even with total strangers. Let me show you God's greatness. Come. That's what we want to emulate. Like Avraham Avinu. Let me show you God's greatness. That was the Evan Tovah. That was the Evan that healed. The spiritually sick. How many people are spiritually sick? You know what the statistic is? 80% of Jews. The statistic shows that only 20% of Jews are connected or affiliated. 80% are off the derech. Boy, do we have work. Boy, do we need an Evan Tovah to heal them, to spiritually heal them.
You talk about the Rebbe,
It's the same-
whatever.
it's
The
the
Rebbe
same
also,
80% that
he
didn't
only
get
did
out of
it
this,
through
right?
love. He did everything through love. He never did anything through like, oh, you have to do this. Never scared you. Always did through love.
You can see that it's an approach, and it's an approach that is effective, and more people. What is it? דרכיה דרכי נועם וכל נתיבותיה שלום.
Yeah.
We have a definition of what the Torah is. דרכיה דרכי נועם. All the ways of the Torah are pleasant. וכל נתיבותיה, and all its pathways are peace. That's the path of Torah. It's a big lesson for parents. I'm speaking for myself, honestly. That to discipline with peace, to discipline with love. It's not so simple. There's a lot. It's an avodah. But past family, past wife, past children, past the people in your community, past the people that are in your workplace, total strangers. Avraham Avinu shechted 3 animals in order to give the best part of the animal was a tongue with a shlich of mustard. To a total stranger. Meaning he would have done the exact same thing for his mother. He would have done the exact same thing to his brother. He would have done the same thing for his wife, for his son. For anyone, a total stranger. 3 strangers in the middle of the desert. They get the VIP 5-star treatment from Avraham Avinu. So why, of all the places in God's universe, he couldn't find a better place for Abraham's gift to be stored than the sun? Why does the Gemara tell us that Hashem took this stone and stored it, this healing stone, and stored it in the Chama? Well, now we can understand that the Chama has healing powers, vitamin D. That's why you're sitting outside the tent after the Brit Milah. So this is a point that I heard from my rabbi, Rabbi Israel Alberger Shlita. He says, you know why the stone went into the sun? Because the sun shines the same for everyone.
Wow. Wow.
The sun shines the same for everyone.
Wow.
If you're rich, if you're poor, if you're Jew, if you're Gentile, if you're righteous or you're wicked, the sun does not discriminate. It shines the same for all. And that is the gift that Avraham Avinu had.
Beautiful.
He saw the beautiful spark in every individual. That nefesh Eloki, the neshama that moves the individual, says, let me introduce you to your creator. What excitement had on it. Whether you were the biggest tzaddik or the biggest crook, you got the best treatment. Just like the sun shines for everyone, Avraham treated everyone the same.
Wow.
What an avodah. That was Abraham's approach. He looked for the godly spark in every human. And he took it upon himself to introduce any and every person to the creator of the world. How many people, Jew and Gentile, are clueless about Hashem? How many people walking around in this world not even connected to the creator, not giving him a passing thought in their lifetime? I'm not going to say in a day, in a lifetime. People are so consumed with themselves and their desires Spirituality is at an all-time low. It's, around the world it's dipping. People are losing. In Islam they're losing. Christianity they're losing followers. In everything, atheism is on the rise.
Yeah.
I heard about a conference. They had a religion conference. I forgot where it was. I heard the story from somewhere else. I didn't hear it myself. Somebody told me. And basically what they did is they said, why is religion declining in the world? Why are all the religions losing followers, people? So they had a priest, they had an imam, and they all were chiming in to say why. This one said, it's the Western civilization. The other one said it's technology. Comes the Jew, the rabbi comes to stand up and gives it 2 cents. They made him sit down. They made him sit down. He says, your religion is not declining. You don't have our problem. I believe it was the priest that said, I live in a Jewish neighborhood and I see that you guys invest in your children. You guys hold their hand and you take them to synagogue and you teach them the ways of the Lord. You don't have the problem that we're having. We have to learn from you. So in a world where Hashem is a passing thought to some and not even a passing thought to others, how much do we need to create the world? How much we need to go out into the world and say, hey, let me introduce you to Hashem. How? Come, have a meal with me. Hey, have a sit. Let me talk to you. Listen to these beautiful words, these pearls of wisdom that are coming from right here. This Even Tovah that Avraham passed to all his children. Avraham's fire was a strong desire to know God. And he channeled it into a lifetime of kiruv opportunities. He channeled that fire into a lifetime of just spreading the word about God. Wherever he went. Converting people everywhere. As a matter of fact, that till today, what do we call converts in honor of Avraham Avinu? When they convert, what do we say? Ben Avraham Avinu or Bat Sarah Imenu. When a convert goes to get a bracha, they are the sons of Abraham. They are the daughters of Sarah. The fire that warms, the fire that heals, that inclusive, loving and humble approach of Avraham Avinu. His tagline, his slogan, Anochi Afar Va'efer. Yet he would go through fire for Hashem and for anyone who believes in him. What a beautiful, beautiful midah to have, and it's embedded in all of us. It's in our DNA. All we have to do is fan it. Excuse the pun. Fan the fire, the flame within us to do what? To bring out the Avraham Avinu within us. It's on us to do the same. And it always starts at home. That loving, caring home with the wife and children that a lot of people are struggling with. A lot of people are struggling. People don't appreciate. There's no hakarat tov. Children don't appreciate. Wives don't appreciate. Husbands don't appreciate. Everybody's coming with why and how and demands. Everybody's demanding from other people and expecting to do nothing in return. Crazy generation we're in.
Yeah.
If you're not going to reprogram yourself, if you're not going to bring out this gift that Hashem put in your DNA of Avraham Avinu, if you don't bring it out.
Like literally, love is sacrifice, and Avraham Avinu showed continuously that love is sacrifice.
His entire life was sacrifice.
But that's what love is. Love is not, oh, I love you. No, it's giving something of
love is not words, love is actions.
Action, yeah, for sure.
Is there a bigger display of affection or love for Kadosh Baruch Hu than to bring you one and only child from Sarah, where your whole progeny is supposed to come from him, that all the generations are supposed to come from him, and put a knife to his neck and really want to go through with it? Who can say they even have that in them? We do. You just have to fan it out. You know, this loving, caring, warm fire that we got from Avraham Avinu, starts with our wife, continues to our children, But also, there's many Jews that are very far. They're off the derech, off the path. Invite them over for Shabbat. Is there a better moment of the week than that Friday night dinner? The week is over. Everybody's showered and dressed to the nines, feeling so happy, just so friends and family in shul. You know you're going to go have a festive meal. That energy of Friday night. Bring somebody to experience it with you. Maybe they haven't experienced it the right way. To see the family unit together, to hear the songs, to eat the food, to hear the Divrei Torah, to get inspired and want to have it for themselves. Me too. I also want this. Avraham Avinu made people want to be connected to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Someone is lost, bring them back. Educate them. Some people, a meal is not going to be enough. They don't care about a meal. They're it's here. Teach me. Show me emet. Get all the nonsense out of his head and start giving him let him ask hard questions and give him good hard answers. That's Avraham Avinu. They would ask him about idols and astrology and about all these different things. He had amazing answers that quieted down the atheism, quieted down the idolatry, and he was able to do what? Make them believe in one God. In the beginning of the class, I said, Esh Shel Avraham. Esh Shel Avraham was like what?
Esh Shel Avraham.
Now you get it.
Of course I get it.
Esh Shel Avraham, we said, Zachila, Shtiya, Livui. We said, what's the rule when you host? You eat, you drink, and you escort. But I want to say something different tonight. Esh Shel Avraham, read it. Esh Shel Avraham. The fire of Avraham Avinu. Be'ezat Hashem, that we merit to bracha v'atzlacha b'chol ma'aseh yadenu, that we be able to be successful just like Avraham Avinu in our personal journey with Kadosh Baruch Hu, that we're able to withstand the 10 trials just like Avraham Avinu, that we're able to get the blessings like Avraham Avinu, and that we're able to do kiruv like Avraham Avinu, and that we're able to be mashpia and influences in the world like Avraham Avinu, and that we actually want to have the desire, that burning, fiery desire that Avraham Avinu had in our own life for our own religion. To get fired up about our own religion. Want to get excited about waking up in the morning to put on tefillin. Want to get excited when I put a tzedakah in somebody's hand. Want to get excited about Shabbat coming. I want to get excited about the holiday season. I want to get excited when I read a juicy page of Gemara. Why not? What's plan B? Attach yourself to plan A. There's nothing like getting connected to the Torah and its teachers. שהשם מברך אתכם, שמח אתכם, ושיתו לבכם לחילה, פסגו מתי למד תספרו דור אחרון. Thank you for coming.